Women Worldwide with Deirdre Breakenridge introduces incredible stories shared by women across the globe who have experienced the great heights of success and, at times, the agony of defeat. With a vision to impart wisdom and advice on how to tackle barriers and soar to new heights, the show uncovers different perspectives to help you find your inner strength and to power up your own voice so you can excel in life.
Welcome to Women Worldwide. I'm your host, Deirdre Breakenridge. The focus of today's show is interior design and leadership. It's a special episode brought to you by Moore College of Art and Design. Moore is the first and only all-women's visual arts college for undergraduates in the United States. And Moore is pleased to sponsor this podcast featuring alumna Kia Weatherspoon, who is my special guest today. Kia is the founder of her company, Determined by Design. She was a dancer turned soldier who then fell in love with interior design, and she's here to discuss her journey with you. Kia, it's great to have you on my show. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited.
Well, me too. You have such an interesting career path. So I just mentioned from dance to joining the military, then transitioning into interior design and launching your own company. You're an entrepreneur. What was this transition like, and what did you learn about yourself?
I think, the biggest thing I learned from kind of transitioning from, the military to interior design was that kind of how I came to design from the military when I was deployed overseas right after September 11th. And one of the things that I had to kind of continuously do on every deployment was create a space that felt safe and provided a sense of comfort in a very kind of tumultuous environment. And that taught me, when I got out of the military, I was like, wow, I didn't realize how much a space could really dictate how you felt in life. And that's how that kind of led me to interior design. And it's always been this mindset. Does whatever I'm doing in my business or just throughout my career, does it give me that same sense of relief and gratitude of having to create a space in the Middle East in wartime?
How did you do that? What did you actually do?
So I was in a tent, and this was on a bare base in Doha, Qatar. And this was, again, at the height of September 11th. It was literally 2 weeks after that. And I was in a tent with about 14 other women. And I wanted to cry, but I refused to do it in front of them. So I took some sheets that Supply had issued us, and I literally hung up some string and hung my sheet over the string from the top of the ceiling. Yeah. And I literally made 3 sheet walls. And that was the first space I ever created. And I bawled like a baby in between those 2 walls.
Well, oh my goodness, that was so smart to do, to be able to kind of, block yourself off and create that space. And did that make you feel better?
It provided such a sense of comfort, and just privacy. But I just remember feeling like, okay, I'm going to be okay. In between these thin sheets, I just felt like I was going to be okay.
Well, good for you. So, we've talked before, and just from the conversations that we've had, I could tell that you were really connected to your alma mater. So, what is it about Moore that just keeps you so connected?
It's so funny. When I applied to Moore, I didn't know it was an all-women's school. And that ended up being one of the things that I loved about it the most, to be just surrounded by so many artistic, visually graphic, talented women. It just kept me believing like, I deserve to be here. I could do this. I'm worthy, right? And I think that's what keeps me so connected to it, because you get so busy with life and career that sometimes it's always good to kind of go back to the places and the institutions that just kind of poured into you. Even when you didn't believe in yourself, they saw something in you that just like felt like, yeah, she's gonna do something great. And that's why I constantly stay connected to more. Like, even when I go back now to visit and I walk in the building, it's just like you're just immediately surrounded by such talent that it's like, wow, I went here.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. And what do you do when you go back there? Are you visiting the classroom? Are you lecturing? How are they tapping into their alumna?
Oh man. So I've gone back 3 times now. I've participated in their women's leadership conference that they have at the school. I was a panelist there. I've also gone back for a keynote for my professional association, the American Society of Interior Designers. The interior design department, they'll often ask me to come back and do guest critiques for senior theses and projects like that. So whatever they ask for, they get a yes from me always.
Oh my gosh. That's really great because, being a student at a school and feeling very connected in a community, and then when you graduate to still have that sense of community and longing to be a part of that, I just think that speaks volumes. You had also talked about some very interesting, and I've read articles about you. You do some interesting work in the nonprofit area around domestic violence. And this ties to your whole design, interior design. How does design space play a part in these efforts?
So when I first started my business, my original project was a nonprofit project. And everyone thought I was crazy for just starting a business and doing a free project in essence. But it was with the organization called Room to Rebloom, and they create healing home environments for survivors of domestic violence. And they said, Kia, we would love if your company could donate your design services. This is what we're doing. We would love for you to be a part of it. And I was like, oh my God, absolutely. And that project ended up being a multi-tenant building that housed 12 women and 32 children. And in that process, it was a really just amazing project because for me, it was important that we took these women and their children through the entire design process, right? Mm-hmm. Because when people think of interior design, they think of this luxurious thing. And through that process, these women, they kept saying like, wow, Miss Kia, I can't believe someone would do this for us. Wow, Miss Kia, I can't believe I thought I could only see this stuff on TV. And, when the project finished, the first thing, we completed the space, the first thing you think someone would say is, oh my God, this was so pretty. One of the women pulled me aside and she said, Miss Kia, when I walked into this room, I realized change was possible for me. And I was literally humbled. It almost brought to tears because that is the impact a space could have on someone. And it took me right back to being in those 3 sheet walls in the Middle East of saying like, wow, this is what the space, interior design, has the power to do. And that experience, I couldn't even quantify it with a billable hour. But when I finished that project, I knew my mission, my company's mission, was to make interior design a standard for people who don't know they don't have it, they don't know they need it, and they don't know how to ask for it.
Well, it's life-changing. I mean, from your example when you were a soldier to helping women and families and those who have been a part of domestic violence, that is life-changing. And it must feel so good to be a part of that.
It's humbling because I'm constantly educating people on, we spend 97% of our time indoors. So when people say, the space doesn't really matter, yes, it does. Like, if you ever walk into your house and it's messy or there's stuff all over the place, you feel a little bit different as opposed to when you walk in there and everything is in order and it's clean, you have natural light, the space feels thoughtful, it feels unique to you. That stuff matters. It really matters. And in the realm of design that I do, affordable and supportive housing, I often have developers say, it doesn't matter. You're making it too nice for this demographic. I'm like, what does that mean?
Yeah, what does that mean? That's crazy.
It means I need to work harder to educate them. That's what it
Yes.
means. That's what it means, Deidre. That's what it means. That's what it means.
Seriously. I mean, I just know, I think of any instance of space, even right down to my own little office space. I used to be in the basement and it was dark and there was no windows, and I kind of was like looking at a wall. And finally, I moved my office upstairs into a bright room, and we have it arranged and it's neat, and the colors on the walls. Oh, that made such a difference.
And
that whole redesign.
Small things. Absolutely. And I think that's what I think people just think of design as adornment and decoration, but it's not. It's space, how people utilize the space, how natural light hits the space. It's so much more than just pretty finishes. It's really, I get to curate how people move and feel in spaces.
Well, that's so important. So I want to take you back because you had said something before about being at Moore and all of the talented people. And it's just interesting in your journey because, it was dance to soldier to interior design. And, when you were first there at the school, I'm sure you were surrounded by so many talented people. When did you actually recognize your own talent and leadership?
Well, I think I recognized my talent maybe in my third year there, and I was in a basic drawing class, and a girl next to me, her name was Brenda Matthews. We were in this class next to each other drawing. We had been in like 3 kind of basic drawing classes together, and she just could draw amazingly. And I remember she looked at my work and she said, "Oh my God, kid, did you draw that?" And I was like, "Yes, I did." And that was one moment where it was like, I belong here. And then I think the second time I studied abroad, and I was in Florence, Italy, and at Moore, you speak a lot of art histories. And it wasn't until I was in Rome and I saw Michelangelo's Pieta in person when I broke down into tears, and I felt like I am an artist. This is what I'm studying. The richness of my education was a culmination of just this one statue in Rome. It was pretty powerful. It was pretty powerful.
That is really, really powerful. Both instances are super powerful.
Yeah.
The first one is just so funny that it's almost like you're going through school, you were exhibiting your talent, but it does take time to really feel. It's one thing, to be doing it and to be keeping up with your peers, but as soon as you get that recognition, boy, that sure does feel good.
That's especially from your peers. Because when I say the talent of these young women at that time, you're just like, wow. So I don't know. I felt like I belonged there. It really was just a sense of belonging.
Oh, that's a good, really, really good feeling. So you know what? While we're on the school topic and knowing you're a business owner, what do you think are the biggest takeaways you got from school and your education versus what you're learning as a business owner? And maybe they're the same or maybe they're different.
Oh, man. I think one of the things I'm learning as a business owner that I think, if I think back, I realize I learned in school is to trust my judgment, never be afraid to make a mark. And I say make a mark because, I was, again, I had an instructor named Frank Heider at Moore. And he had us do this exercise where we had to draw these lines on the paper over and over again. And I thought it was so pointless. And then he comes around and he kind of dissects everyone's personalities based on their lines. And he said, Kia, you're redrawing every line, which means you're second guessing yourself. Never do that. Just make your mark. And I think that has stuck with me today as a business owner, It's like, never second guess whether it's the right client, whether it's a project I should walk away from, whether it's a contract that doesn't feel right. Just continue to make my mark, press forward, and never second guess myself.
Now, did you realize that you were, when you were a student and he noticed the lines, did you feel like you were second guessing yourself, or you didn't even know it?
I didn't even know it. But as soon as you know what? I think internally I knew it, but it's kind of like one of those things. You don't want to admit it until you hear it out loud, or you can't admit it until you hear it out loud, or until you hear someone else say it. It's like one of those things you always know about yourself. You're like, maybe I'm not as confident as I appear to be. But when someone else calls you out on it and kind of like they want to help you improve and be better and reassure you to not be afraid, I think that's what it was.
Yeah, no, that's that makes you move forward and helps. So I don't know if you're going to have this answer off the top of your mind, but is there like a favorite project that you worked on that kind of stands out during, whether it was in school or maybe something now that you're doing?
Oh man, I would have to say. Right now, my favorite project, Deirdre, was the Room to Rebloom project.
Yeah.
Simply because it changed my entire business model. Like, it changed the types of projects I wanted to do. It gave me a clear focus and direction. It changed my entire business model and mission. So that, I think, as a business owner, was probably one of the most profound projects that I've ever done. So it definitely was that now. But as a student, my undergraduate thesis, I designed a male prison facility, and everyone thought I was crazy because they knew I had this desire to design hotels. But again, it went back to this idea of, how can space change the way prisons are designed and built? Like, we can't control how inmates go into a prison, but we can control how they come out. And their space is a part of that rehabilitation.
And their behavior, right? I mean, it would definitely affect behavior.
How would you feel if you sat in a concrete box for 10 years? How do you think you're going to come out?
Not well.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, those two things, and it's so funny. In hindsight, I'm taking a demographic where they are underserved when it comes to just the standard and quality of design. It's really full circle when you think about it. Like, when I just thought about it right now, it just comes full circle.
Absolutely. What an interesting project. I mean, I give you so much credit. I'm wondering if that was like the first in the history of the thesis projects being in interior design that was ever done.
I actually think it was, because I don't think everyone's like, what, a prison? What?
Yeah, but
yeah.
I love that you did that. Well, Key, I'm going to ask you to hold your thoughts for now. We're going to take a quick break, but I'd also like to take a moment just to mention again that this episode is brought to you by Moore College of Art and Design in Philadelphia, and you can check out more about Moore at www.moore with an E on the end, .edu. And in the next segment, Key is going to discuss the pros and cons of being a business owner and as an interior designer, how she finds her creativity and inspiration.
You have been listening to Women Worldwide with your host, Deirdre Breakenridge. Segment 2 is coming right up.
Creating brand loyalty requires a unique blend of strategic communications and innovative technology. Pure Performance Communications works with businesses to move their audiences from interest to action, giving you a roadmap that fosters deeper engagement and forges stronger relationships along the way. Visit us at pureperformancecom.com. Thank you.
Now, back to Women Worldwide with your host, Deirdre Breakenridge.
I'm Deirdre Breakenridge. Welcome back to the show. Kia Weatherspoon, who's an alum from Moore College of Art and Design and also the founder of Determined by Design. We were just chatting about her work as an interior designer. We were talking about moving from the classroom into business and some of the many interesting projects she's been involved in. So Kia, let's pick up the conversation. We had mentioned your business. You had said that it was Room to Rebloom. Was that the name of the project?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
So, here you are in business, you're taking on interesting projects. Maybe you could just discuss a little bit the pros and cons of working for yourself versus working for someone else's company, because I know that you actually did this for a little while before you launched your own.
Absolutely. I think the pros and cons of, working for myself as opposed to another company, for me, it was, I was working at a design firm and we were pulling like this insane amount of long hours, like literally overnighters. Like I went to work at 7 a.m. one day, left at like 5 a.m. the next morning.
Oh my gosh.
Went home, it was insane. I went home, showered, and then went and presented the project to the client. And went back to the office after that. And my boss just didn't say, take a comp day, kind of buy you lunch, leave early, nothing. And I felt unappreciated, honestly. And, that became the norm. And then I also began to feel like my love for interior design was diminishing. Yeah. And to me, I was like, I'm building someone else's dream right now. I'm not happy doing it. I could do this for myself. I can put in all this hard work to build my own dream. And to me, that kind of just was like, I'm going to start my own business. Like, it was never intentional. But now that I'm in it, it feels like when I pull that all-nighter on a Saturday, well, not an all-nighter because I'm 35. We don't do that anymore.
No. No, we don't.
We don't know. When I'm up till maybe 1 a.m. max and I'm putting in that hard work, I know that I will see the direct results and benefits of it. It's a good feeling knowing that if I put 200% into something and I get 150% back, that I can just see it. It feels like tangible hard work. And I love it. I get to work with the clients I want to work with. I get to work on the projects I want to work with. I get to design with a purpose. So I think, to me, that's the biggest kind of perk of having my own business.
Absolutely. I really relate to what you said about it was never intentional, but all of a sudden it's like this light bulb goes on. It really does.
Girl, yes.
I experienced the exact same thing. I wasn't pulling the all-nighters, but, I was working for a mentor at the time, running his business. He would go down the shore for 2 months in the summer, and I would be, left doing whatever he needed. And something just clicked. It was like, whoa, wait a second. I could do this for myself. Yeah. So it's just such a great feeling. And, there are certainly pros and cons, but so now you have this entrepreneurial lifestyle. How would you describe life as an entrepreneur?
Ooh, life as an entrepreneur is inconsistent.
Yes.
It's inconsistent. There are some days where I'm like, I'm the queen of the world. And then there are other days where I'm like, I have no clue what I'm doing. And there are days where there's like, I want to go hang out with my friends and go shoe shopping. And then it's like, you didn't clear that last invoice. No shoe shopping, no going out with your friends.
Exactly. And a lot of hustling, right? You gotta hustle.
It's like you have to hustle nonstop. But this is the thing, once you're hustling and you're in it, you kind of forget about all the inconsistencies because you just love what you're doing. Like, you love grinding it out, that you forget, oh, this is work. It's inconsistent, but it's rewarding. Like, I love it. It's rewarding. It doesn't feel like work. No.
And, I think it just, as an entrepreneur, I kind of feel this blend that goes on. I mean, sure, I guess you could say I'm working in the evening, but if work consists of, talking to my base through Twitter, or maybe I'm helping students, or somehow I'm writing about public relations and marketing and social media, it doesn't feel like work. I'm having fun.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, this past weekend, I was literally forcing myself to go out, but I really wanted to stay home and work on my project because I was pulling together finishes. But I had to kind of be like, oh, you got to have a social life. But I mean, I would have been content home working on my project.
Exactly. And at the same time, you have that luxury of just saying, you know what, I can pull back, and maybe I need to go out and have a coffee or have a drink or whatever it is. Like, you have that ability to schedule and have the freedom to do things that somebody else working for someone else couldn't do at any time. So I love that.
Exactly. And if it's 75 degrees outside and nice, you know what? I don't have to be stuck in someone's office. I can work outside in the park.
Yes. I hold office hours on the deck outside by the pool.
Exactly. Right.
So, and
I know that's right.
Exactly. But that park sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
So, I wonder, because, I talk about being outside on the deck, and you mentioned being in the park. There is something to be said about changing your environment that feeds creativity or inspiration. So is that something that helps you, or where are you finding your creativity and inspiration?
I get a lot of my creativity inspiration from, it depends on the project, like where the project is located. Like right now I'm working on a project that is in the Petersburg, Virginia area. And I literally, whenever I have a project, I don't care where it is, I go to the community that it's going to be in, and I just spend a couple of hours just walking around, taking pictures, getting a feel for the community, talking to people, going in a small antique shop, going in maybe the older kind of rundown corner store. I just go and talk to the community and the people and the businesses that are there. And that's kind of how I get inspired when I'm kicking off a new project, is to be in the community. The community I'm going to serve, the people I'm going to serve, that kind of inspires me. Because at the end of the day, what I do is about people and how people feel in spaces. So I got to connect with the people to really design for them.
That's one of the best answers I've ever heard. I mean, seriously, right? Like, you just nailed that one. It's about the people. You're designing for them. You have to know how they feel. So you are just getting in there and learning so much before you would ever put anything together. I mean, talk about doing your homework. That's really helpful.
It's like, you got to think about it. When are we our most happiest, just in general, when we're connecting with other people? Like, the park is beautiful, but if I just so happen to spark up a conversation with someone who's sitting in the park relaxing too, and we have a mutual conversation, that's inspiration. Like, you get inspired the more you're engaged with other people. People inspire you in general.
Well, you know what? It's true, because I mean, I guess we're all in the people business, depending on what you do. But when you're in the people business and you like public relations and marketing, or your business, interior design, or anybody who's in business, it's always about the people that you're serving. So that makes so much sense. It's interesting because a lot of answers, and there's nothing wrong with this, would be, oh, I'll go to the museum and get lost in art, or I will take a walk and, listen to my music, which are all really great ways to find creativity and inspiration. But that mutual discussion and inspiration, that's a really, really powerful way to find creativity.
Oh, absolutely. I agree, because, going to the art museum or the art history museum that's specific to that area where my project is, I'm going to see the art of the artisans from that area. I'm going to learn about the history of the people. Where this project is literally where Pocahontas, the whole story of Pocahontas originated. So this project has a lot of kind of Native American influences. And I'm learning about Native American culture now, things that I didn't know. So that's just inspiration in itself.
What a great learning experience. So with all of you sound like you have some great projects going on, a lot of creativity, feeling inspired, a lot of success. What about the flip side? What about those challenges, right? And, shed some light on how do you overcome them? What goes through your mind?
Oh my God. Deidre, the biggest challenge I feel like sometimes is being a woman. And because most of my clients are men, older men, maybe, late 30s to mid 60s, but they're men. And there is always this, I've had men say to me, I knew it would be so great to do business with you because you have such a beautiful smile. What does that have to do with anything business related? That's just one. I had a business consultant. He was supposed to help me with like some business development. And he says to me, I think you should have a man represent you on your initial client meetings. And I was like, excuse me? He was like, yeah. Wow. He was like, just on the first meeting, because you're so young and attractive, I don't think people would take you seriously. He was dead serious.
Oh,
and
no.
In my mind, you learn
really
to. It is. I've learned to just smile and say, you know what? And I lean in because I want to know what I'm about to say. I want you to hear me. You just learn and smile. You say, you know what? I don't think that's the right direction for my business, nor do I think that's relevant. Whether it's my smile, I'm young, I'm pretty, what I'm wearing, none of that stuff is relevant. And men bring it up all the time. And it's just like, let's put all our cards on the table here. That's not why I'm here. I'm here to do business. So now let's focus on the task at hand.
Right.
But
and that's business. Well, I used to get not now, but I remember when I was an agency owner, myself and my partners all looked very young. And one of the reasons why we were so happy to write books was because we would walk into a boardroom, and especially they wouldn't call out my partners who were men, but more so they would look at me and say, where's the executive? And my response, literally, I said, right here. And I would put my book right on the table and I'd say, yep. And I wrote the book on it. And that just changed the conversation. But it's interesting that whether it was many moons ago or it's now, that you have to even go through those actions or the discussion. That's really interesting. But what you said, you overcome your obstacles so that you can say, okay, now I'm here to talk business.
Yeah, sometimes you have to teach people how to treat you. Even in business and in life, they will see what they will get away with. And I think as a quote unquote young woman in a male dominant business, I am constantly trying to teaching these men, this is how you're going to treat me as another business owner, period.
Right. And you know what, Kia, just keep educating. That's it. Yeah. We all just have to keep educating and, don't let up. Don't. They're
going to learn today.
Exactly. They're going to learn today and tomorrow and in a month from now, right? Just you keep educating.
I know, that's right.
Well, we're on the same page there. So you know what? Let's share some advice. You know, we always do this on the show because I think listeners truly appreciate it. What advice would you give to other artists, designers, maybe who aspire to own their own businesses someday? What would you say?
My first advice would be to, don't limit yourself to planning, right? I think people tend to plan. Like, I'm going to plan this, and that. I'm going to dot this I, I'm going to cross this T, and this. They're so busy planning, they don't do, right? Don't plan your way into not executing anything. Sometimes you really just have to jump into the pool and just go for it. That's the number one thing, especially when starting a business. People are like, oh, well, you got to have this plan, you got to do this. No, just do it. Just go. Because you'll plan and do nothing. The second thing I would say is chase the dream, not the dollar.
Yeah.
And, people will get so tied. Another reason they won't start their business. Oh, I need a paycheck. Oh, I need this money. And I have this bill. Bills will always be there. They are constant. But
yeah, they don't go away.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you could win the lottery tomorrow and you still have bills.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, okay. But your dream and what you want to work towards, you can't put a price tag on that. And while there have been times in the past kind of 4 years as a business owner where I've had a negative $600 in my business bank account and no money, nothing, but I had peace of mind knowing that I was doing something that I loved. I was changing the lives of people through design. That is priceless. You can't quantify that with a dollar amount. And then
no way.
always, yeah, you can. And always trust your gut, trust your intuition. Like, that has helped me make so many decisions. Like, if a project didn't feel right, a contract didn't feel right, I had to trust, like, you know what? My instincts, they're going to always look out for my best interest, personally and in my business. There's nothing wrong with it. People are like, oh, that's a feeling. Trusting your gut is a feeling. It's okay to feel in business. It's okay. Because you got to feel, is it right for you?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot going on, but there is something about those instincts. We're working with our minds, but that instinct and the passion together, you have to kind of read and trust and believe in yourself first, and that's going to guide you. So I agree.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you, what advice would you give to anyone in business? But really what you said about, don't plan so it stops you from executing, and the whole don't chase the dollar, but chase the dreams, and the whole gut thing, that really is for anyone in any kind of business.
I agree, because so much of it, because when you're an entrepreneur, it's so personal. It's like this is determined by design. Like, it's my baby. I have to cultivate it. And the only way determined by design is going to grow is if I'm growing personally. And I know personally, I'm not focused on just making a lot of money. If I know personally, like, I can trust myself to make sound decisions for my business and my instincts. Like, I mean, and, definitely, I'm more of a let's start and see how it goes type of person.
Yeah.
But it always works out exactly how it was supposed to.
Well, personal growth, I think, goes along with the territory. If you, like you said, if you're really chasing your dream and trusting your gut, you're able to move forward and you're going to grow with your business. That's not to say that you're not going to take your lumps at times. I think we all do. You're going to have your ups and downs. But, even with those downs, it's what you do always moving forward. So it's almost, I want to ask you, being that you shared your journey, what you're doing now, if you could just kind of go back and say to yourself, maybe give yourself advice, one piece of advice when maybe you were 21 or even at age 18, what would you say?
Oh, this is going to sound like my one piece of advice, honestly, don't do any student loans. I mean, that's probably going to be my most practical answer ever in life. But I mean, because everything else, I wouldn't tell my 21-year-old self anything, because I wouldn't have learned exactly what I needed to learn going through any of those experiences. Like, you want to make mistakes. You want to make the wrong decision, say the wrong thing, wear the wrong outfit. Like, I would want to experience all that stuff again, because that's what makes me who I am. Student loan debt, just a burden.
That is the first time that I've ever heard that answer. I absolutely love it. I think it's great. And I'm glad that you are who you are through all of those experiences. So that was just such an awesome answer. All right. Well, last question, super easy.
Okay.
Where can my listeners find out more about you and your work?
Oh, they can go to www.determinedbydesign.com. They can also find me on Facebook, Instagram, Kia Weatherspoon. All my profiles are public, so you can snoop around. And then you can also go to KiaWeatherspoon.com.
Awesome. Kia, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show, to share your journey, to give advice to others in business. It was delightful chatting with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so humbled, and I couldn't be more proud to do this on behalf of an episode that's sponsored by Moore. So thank you very much.
Oh, my pleasure. And I also want to thank Moore College of Art and Design for sponsoring this episode of Women Worldwide. And a big thank you to all of you for tuning in. Until our next episode, stay focused, energized, and feeling empowered. Thank you.
You have been listening to Women Worldwide with Deirdre Breakenridge, brought to you by Pure Performance Communications on thesocialnetworkstation.com. You can reach Pure Performance at www.pureperformancecom.com. Women Worldwide is produced by SNI, and the opinions of the hosts and guests do not necessarily reflect those of Social Network Intermedia, LLC, or the Social Network Station.